Hi guys, it's Nyla Dar here from Love Now TV, transforming fear to love and helping you not to suffer unnecessarily. And in today's video, I want to share with you how it's possible to keep your bearing during any kind of crisis and how helpful it is when we know which direction to look for. I was listening to a talk by a Canadian astronaut called Chris Hadfield, and he was talking about being in space and how he was outside the spaceship and on his first space walk, and suddenly he went blind in his left eye. And then just as he's trying to make sense of it, he goes blind in his right eye. And of all the thoughts he could have had, the thought he had was, now don't make this any worse than it is. Because they are trained and they practice all the ways things can go wrong. And he thought to himself, instead of panicking, he thought to himself, I know I can't see, but I can hear and I can talk and I'll get help, which he did. And, you know, his blindness was temporary and he managed to get his bearing. Now, in the space world, they have this famous saying, which is, see if I can get it right. There isn't a problem that is so bad that it can't be made worse. So let me say it again. There isn't a problem so bad that it can't be made worse. And the truth is, we are in challenging times right now, and there are all kinds of problems that we are facing. And it's really good for us to see that for ourselves and keep our bearing. In the normal world, there are two things that are really helpful to know. First is that no matter how tough the going gets, no matter what the crisis is, if you realize that whatever is going on, the experience you are having about that situation is based on the thoughts and feelings you're having and the meaning you're making about that situation. It's not telling you about the situation, it's telling you about your thoughts about it. And that's so important to know, because it's a bit like if say you're watching a scary movie and you're so in it, and then all of a sudden you go, oh God, it's just a film, right? And you suddenly catch up with where you are. Well, suddenly you have some distance. You're not in the movie, you're just watching the movie. And you just get perspective and distance. And when our minds are running wild, if they are catastrophizing, they're so busy in the future of what can happen and what this means and how will I survive or whatever, we can get so lost in believing they're telling us the truth rather than reflecting our state of mind in that moment. And that instead of seeing those thoughts and feelings telling us what we should do, that they're actually telling us this is not a good time to make a decision. That actually we've got disturbed thinking. The mind is disturbed right now. Whether we're wound up, whether we're in a panic, whether we are just all over the place. All those are signs that we need to recognize we're not in the best place and our thinking is not reliable. And the best thing we can do is to recognize that and create some distance and just get our bearing. And that if we just recognize that that's what thought's doing in the moment, we don't have to be frightened by our thinking or get sucked into believing it's telling us the truth about the future, good, bad, or ugly. The next thing is that if we leave it alone, if we leave that thinking alone, something will occur to us and we'll know what to do. You know, we've all heard the saying, okay, you know what, sleep on it, see how you feel tomorrow. Because your mind will settle and you'll be in a different state of mind, you'll have a different perspective, and it's just best to give your mind the rest. Now, through all my trainings, through all my insecurities, I used to believe the only way to deal with problems was to analyze them, to process them, to technique them, to work them out, to figure them out, and grind away at all the thinking and get to a decision. But actually, our minds are made of much simpler and more powerful. They're much simpler and more powerful than we can imagine, and they will do their work best if we leave them alone. If we've got some headspace, a fresh new thought will occur to us and we'll know what to do. Now, I'm sure all of you have had experiences like that, where you've had pressurized thinking, you feel like you've got a sense of urgency, you've got to know and do something straight away, you've just given yourself some space, and then you've known what to do. In my own life, when I'd been in business for about 5 years, and I had a really healthy, successful, profitable business at the time. And I had like a savings account where I put my profits, my tax, my VAT money, etc. And, I had a running account. And that year, I decided that I wanted to see what it would be like to not shop for a year. I loved shopping. My business was in the heart of the West End, and I always had a reason to shop, but I just felt like I needed to exercise some discipline in my life, and that I had more clothes that I could possibly wear, and see what it would be like if I just did not shop for the whole year. And I did that, and I decided that some of the money that I would have spent, like I put $2,000 into my mortgage account to clear my capital. Not because I was just paying my interest at the time. And to just give you an idea, the interest rates at the time on my mortgage was like 17.5%. So they were really high, and I thought I really need to clear my capital. So I put £2,000 into clearing my capital. And then I found out that my husband at the time had fraudulently cleaned out all the money out of that account during the 9 months we were in couple therapy for his addiction to gambling. So you can imagine what that must have been like for me. The panic, the shock, and the complete sense of betrayal that I felt at the time. Now, I didn't know what to do, and I was worried sick that if I didn't have a business, I could lose not just my business, but my home. And so I just prayed for guidance. This is not about telling you to pray, just that's what occurred to me. And there's something there's something about surrendering, seeking guidance from something, whatever that may be in your life, that's bigger than you, that somehow takes you out of fear into a different space of faith. And I just kind of surrendered and asked for guidance. And when I woke up the next day, I remembered the £2,000 I put into my mortgage account. And I thought, I need to get that back so that I can just keep the business running before I make more money. So I contacted the bank, and at the time they were like, no. Once you put this money in and cleared your capital, you can't have it back. It's gone, it's done. But I was really lucky. I spoke to a woman who had a lot of common sense and knew how to listen. I said to her, do you understand? If I don't have this money to run my business, I can't pay my mortgage. And she got the money for me, and that just bought me time to get and to literally start all over again. Now, we have a tendency to seek answers from everybody, from friends, from family, but the answers are within us. We just have to know this is the direction to look in. And that when our minds are busy and worrying and all over the place, that's just a red flag not to listen, not to make a decision, and to get some perspectives, to get some distance, and to leave our minds alone. So we create the headspace for the wisest part of us to tell us what to do. The answers are within us. And that's where we need to look. Now, don't take my word for it. I invite you to test this out for yourself. No matter what's going on for you, if you can notice your thinking, notice your state of mind, recognize it's playing out internally, that if you leave it alone, what happens? I don't want you to trust what I'm saying. I didn't trust this way. I was so used to using my intellect, to figuring things out, working things out. I didn't know I could leave it alone. And that each and every time I would know what to do. And if I know what to do, so will you, because you're no different to me. Wisdom is in all of us, but it needs the space. And if you look in this direction, see if you hear it. And I don't care what the crisis is, small or large, it's still working the same way. And it's worth checking out, because he's right. There is no problem so bad that we can't make worse. And we make it worse by thinking our thoughts and feelings are telling us about the crisis rather than our state of mind in the moment. So thank you for listening. I'd love to hear from you if you found this helpful, and if you tried it, what results you've got for yourself. Okay, bye for now.